Hello, it's Ruby, and today I am going to be attempting the 24-hour read-a-thon for the second time. So this morning I woke up at 5. I started reading at 5:30, I would say. I'm currently on page 119 of Memories of a Catholic Girlhood.
I'm sorry for how blurry this first clip is. I just love how you can see it gradually getting lighter outside though.
This book is really good, I'm really enjoying it. It's a memoir and it reminds me a bit of Jeanette Winterson's Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. It's just gone 6:45 and I have got 30 pages left of this book. It's really good. Okay, I've just finished my first book of the read-a-thon. As I said, this kind of reminds me of Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, particularly because of how it deals with autobiography as a narrative form. At the end of each chapter, she talks about what was wrong with her narrative and how it's been adapted, what she's made up, what she can't quite remember, because obviously she is writing it so that people find it entertaining. I think that's partially her purpose. And so to make sure that it's authentic at the end, it's like a footnote, an extended footnote, possible mistakes to her memory, which is very like Jeanette Winterson, who blurs the line between fiction and autobiography, says that there's a very fine line between them, and she does seem to recognise that too, but she makes it more overt. Like Jeanette Winterson doesn't point out where her narrative is mistaken, whereas McCarthy does. Okay, let's go get the next book. So the next book I'm going to read is Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. I've got my banana smoothie milk thing. I've also saved like a third of the banana, which I'm going to just have with some almond butter. Don't even ask why I read it this way, but I've just read this sentence. Where mammoth milk white blossoms floated. When I first read it, I read it as where mammoth milk white blossoms floated, like the white of mammoth milk, and I was like, that is the weirdest image ever, and then I realised that the hyphen was saying it was milk white. Okay, so I'm 53 pages into this and I'm really enjoying it. It did take me a while to get into, like the first 15 pages I was thinking, I'm just really not enjoying this. Just because the language is very dense. The sentences are long and they're quite difficult to follow. It's like parentheses in parentheses in parentheses, and so to unpick the sentences sometimes is confusing, but I've got used to the style now and I am really enjoying it. The narrator is an artist and he's become obsessed with this young boy that he's seen on the beach and is treating this boy like a piece of art, but living art. And interesting distinction, thinking about the difference between someone who creates art and someone who is art in their own sense. I'm going to finish this now. I'm going to finish this, but first I'm going to make myself some tea because I can't believe I haven't had a mug of tea yet. I just finished Death in Venice and I would highly recommend it. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful. I just really loved the narrative voice and how it flitted between these really just inane observations of what is happening, and then he'd focus on something, like really key into something, usually the boy that he's obsessed with. That is book number 2 and it is currently 9:15. So the next book, I might read this.
I decided to sit up in the treehouse to read this book. And it was actually a really nice temperature. I was wearing a really thick Christmas jumper and a coat, but it was the perfect temperature. And I was also sipping at my mug of Earl Grey tea at the same time. So I decided to save this book for later because it's so beautiful, but I'm not really in the mood for it because I've just read something a bit heavier. I wanted to read this, so I'm actually going to read the Martian Chronicles first, and then I'll read this in the afternoon. I'm on page 75 of the Martian Chronicles, currently 9:45. It's really, really good. Wow, this is so like fast-paced and it's just so confusing. You have no idea what's going on, and it's like very deduction-based. Okay, so it's 11:20 and I'm on page 152 of the Martian Chronicles, and I am getting pretty tired, so I think I'm going to read just 25 more pages and then I will take a break. It's really good so far. And I actually decided to get under the covers and read in bed, which I never usually do. Like, I never get into bed in the middle of the day, but it was actually really cozy. I'm on page 200 and it is, what time is it? 11 o'clock. So then I went and got myself some lunch. I had an early lunch at 11 and I decided to have a smoothie bowl because I was really, really fancying a smoothie bowl. Okay, book 3. Done. I loved this book. It was so great. 12:05. Sorry, this is an hour behind. Okay, so 3 hours later and I'm going to dip back into this book. I've been looking forward to reading this for ages, so I didn't want to do it when I was in the wrong headspace. This is the perfect setup. My tree stump. I'm currently on page 64 and it's 12:30 at the moment. This book's only 200 pages and as you can see the font's really big, but it's taking me a while to read just because it's so beautiful that I don't want to waste it. This is my first time reading it and it's one of those books that you have to really appreciate the language of. It's like poetry.
I never felt tomorrow closing in this fast.
Okay, I'm on page 100 and it's not that this book isn't good, but I've decided to take another break from it and read something else. I'm finding it surprisingly heavy because it's so lyrical. I don't think I'm appreciating it to its full extent at the moment, so I'm going to come back to this. So I don't have as many clips for me reading the Scorched Trials, but I did really enjoy this. I thought it was a bit weird in the middle, like there was a period about 2/3 through for just around 50 pages where I thought it kind of lost its pace and it wasn't as good, but other than that it was so gripping. I really did enjoy reading it. It was really light.
So it's now just about to turn 2 and I'm reading the Scorched Trials, the second book in the Maze Runner series, just because I was really feeling like a YA dystopia book, like something really fast paced. So I'm not very far, I'm only on like page 70 or 80, but it's good so far. It's just gone 3 and I'm on page 160 of the Scorched Trials.
Sometimes I understand I'm making all the wrong connections in life. It never pays in the end.
So I'm actually really in the mood for popcorn. So with the help of my popcorn, I finished the Scorch Trials. Then I moved back on to the Light in the Dark.
Time for take 3. I'm halfway through it already, and I think I'm in the mood for reading it now. Like, it's so pretty.
This book truly is beautiful. I don't know if I've paid it justice because of the very fact that I picked it up twice and put it back down. It's only because the language is so beautiful. It is like poetry, and this is some of my favourite kind of literature to read, so I didn't want to waste it. I wanted to make sure I was in the right headspace.
Okay, just finished this. It's currently 6:20, and I'm gonna go inside and choose my next book.
I decided to read The Sandman next, simply because I had to read this for university, and this was a very quick book. Oh, and Lola ate my pen, which was very sad because I do really like this pen. I went back inside and I decided to read at my desk because I was making some notes in this book as I was going along, since, as I said, it was for university. And yes, I have something on my nose and I don't know what it is. I was reading on the trampoline before and I think it's a bit of dirt. So it literally is ringing true to that Harry Potter quote, "You've got dirt on your nose." This was a very quick read, but very good. Next book I decided to read was The Island, and I didn't get any clips of me reading this at the beginning, but then I had dinner, had a shower, and got into bed to read this book. Okay, it's just gone 9 and I'm on page 130 of Island. It's got this really great message of tolerance. I'm so tired now. I've decided to only do this as like a partial read-a-thon, so I only got 4 hours of sleep last night and I'm so tired. And I don't want to stay up all night, so I managed to read 7 books, which I think is quite good, and I'm gonna go to sleep now and I will give you a wrap up of those books in the morning. Okay, good morning. It's the next day and I am going to run through all of the books that I managed to read yesterday. So in total I read 7 books. These are the books I read. The first book I read was Memories of a Catholic Girlhood by Mary McCarthy. The second book was Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. Then I read The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Next I read The Scorch Trials by James Dashner, which is the second book in the Maze Runner series. The fifth book I read was The Light in the Dark, A Winter Journal. Then I read The Sandman by E.T.A. Hoffman, which was very short, very creepy, extremely uncanny. And the final 7th book I read was Island by Nikki Singer. And I'm going to quickly count up how many pages in total I read as well. So yesterday in total I read 1,471 words. Words? I read 1,471 pages, not words. Words, that would be like 2 pages. I should get that. So yes, thank you so much for watching this read-a-thon. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you have a productive week.